kid.
What's this? This is a Dare County seat courthouse?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this statue?
It seems different than when I was a kid. I used to be fascinated by that statue. I could stand here by the hour and look at that thing.
Is this where they had the bars along here, the roadhouses?
Yeah. Look here.
Unlock us. Gosh.
Are they fast?
No, he was running kind of slow.
I want to get on the backside.
No, they're not fast.
Hey, Cracky, I'm just out here in Dobbinser, Missouri, and I'm going to show you how we catch the wild turtles.
Is there a hospital close by?
There is.
Oh!
Water moccasins and rattlesnakes and stuff. I mean, you can
Not rattlesnakes.
not rattlesnakes.
Water snakes, yeah.
Water moccasins.
Wow.
So this is it. This is the main drag, right? And this is where all the buildings are gone now because of the tornado, then the flood, then the fire.
Oh, good.
That probably wasn't there, huh? The train?
This is all different. This is all new.
That one probably still around, right? That building there looks like it's old.
Yeah, that's the only building that's left. Let's see. This building was a grocery store. Then there was a vacant lot. And then there was a tavern. Next building. Then was attached all the way up through there, but it was a tavern, a restaurant, a grocery store, a hardware store, drugstore, and another grocery store. This building here originally was a barber shop, and then about, I don't know how many years ago, several years ago, our cousin Leslie took the building over and added on the back of it and used it as a processing place for his furs that he trapped.
We went hunting with Dad's cousin Leslie.
The last time you came here?
When I came here 36 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And that's where we cleaned him. We took him in there. He had his fur company there, so that's where he would take care of all the furs and stuff before he'd send them out.
Wow.
And there was a sign that said Ellsworth Fur Company.
Wow.
Or Ellsworth Furs, I think. I've got a picture of it somewhere.
The other building, I'm not familiar with it. It was, and this side over here, that was brick. That was a brick building, the full block brick building. On the far corner there was a we called it a creamery, where we processed our milk.
Didn't look the same as it used to, huh?
Oh, it was a grocery store.
Yeah. Was the only grocery store in town?
No, there's two more on this side of the street.
How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you in from out of town?
Yeah, out of town.
Where are you out of town at?
California.
California. You're definitely from out of town.
Yeah. Well, my dad grew up here
And
back
what's
in
your
the
name?
40s.
Guy.
See, I didn't grow up around here. No, my boyfriend did, John McFarland.
McFarland. Well,
Did you know Tilly? Tilly was his mom. But now you'll find it interesting. I have some pictures on that back wall by the pool table by that Bud Light, and it shows the town when it was a coal miner's town.
Yeah.
That's my
So
grandfather's a coal
You're
miner.
probably a little bit familiar with that back
Yeah.
there.
Coal
So
miner.
yeah, and you may recognize some people. There's some neat old pictures. When we opened up, we wanted everybody to bring us pictures of the town years ago, and we just found that really amazing. So we made a wall back there.
When you opened, what was it before you opened it?
This was empty,
Okay.
but originally this was Rock's grocery store, which
Yeah.
you would remember.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
This was Rock's. It had one power outlet in the floor and no running water.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
is that
when
right?
we came in, my boyfriend's an electrician. He'd always wanted a bar. I always wanted a restaurant. He said, I've got this building downtown I can buy cheap. He said, let's do it. So 16 years ago, that's what we did.
you did it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good for you. Blacksmith's Tavern.
Yeah, that was just a couple of doors. This
Wife's a psychologist. They're
he's
all-
a driver. He
Girls are
had a mule and he
PT
pulled the cars of
assistants
coal
and EMTs,
out as
so
we
they all
loaded
got
them.
that medical.
His name is
medical
Vern
background.
Robinson, and he's my cousin Norma, her father-in-law.
Okay.
Do you know what mine that would have been?
Biote, Biotes mine.
Biotes mine?
That's this building right here?
I remember they had another grocery store right up the street here, and he had kept all these like beans, right? So beans, rice, potatoes, and all that kind of stuff in big baskets. So now you just go dip out into a bag of what you wanted to weigh it out. And they always had 3 or 4 cats, and they always curled up and slept in the beans.
Is that right?
Kick the cat out of there and dip out your beans.
And the road in front of us is kind of the way it was.
Yes.
That's Snyder.
This one here,
Mm-hmm.
it was gravel road. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't paved.
Well, kind of dry right now. Huh?
Yeah.
What's the name of the creek?
Davies.
Davies Creek.
Davies.
And that was the Danforth school?
Yep. This is the well. This is the school where I started the school in 1938, first grade, and went here until I was in March of 3rd grade. And this was all our playground out here.
Was this?
6 of us in school.
6 of you in the whole school?
6 in the whole school.
So the school was brand new when you started?
No.
That's just all there was.
That's just all there was.
School district number 29. Lettering been there since then?
It hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. Wow.
That schoolhouse hasn't changed.
That's amazing. That building, it doesn't look that old.
Out there in that brush, there's one there, and one on the other side is the boys and girls toilet. Made it just like the school. Same brick, same color.
Is that right?
One for boys and one for girls?
Yep, just like the school. Always in the fall of the year when the school started, we had to go out and go in there and clean out the wasp nest.
And you were saying you have a picture at home with 6 of you in front of the school?
Yes, 2 in the 1st grade, 1 in the 3rd grade, I think it was. A couple in the 6th grade and 1 senior.
Now would Alice and Dawn, everybody gone to the school too?
No, I was the only one.
You're the only one? Was there another school that they went to, or?
Yes, which was Ball Knob. We moved from this district
Oh,
to
okay.
another school district when I was March of my third grade.
They poured that concrete in 1928.
And that was where we spent the winters as a playroom
Down the.
in the basement. Yeah, I remember it was nice and toasty.
Well, I know they had that in the old house in Ontario. Oh, that thing's strong there, isn't it?
What were the walls like back then?
No, it was all open.
All open?
Had coal furnace down
Oh,
there.
sure.
And
Same
we used to go
thing.
down there as kids and play.
Now, how many kids were at this school when you were here?
6.
6 total.
When you started.
Yeah, my 3rd year, another family had moved into the area, and I think they had 4 or 5 kids. So that made it 10 or 11.
And you only went from your 1st to 3rd grade here?
First, yeah, through the 3rd.
And then you
My
then
first and 2nd grade, there were just 6 kids in school.
and then you went to the Bald Knob School?
Yes.
And that's where Dawn and the rest of the kids started
Yes.
going?
Yes,
And that's burned down now, the Bald Knob School.
Yeah.
Or burned as gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Where are we at?
So we are just on up the highway. I guess this would be north and west of Don of a Guy's place. And this is where Don was born. Don Guy. And you can see Sandra out there. She's walking. So somewhere along here is where the house was. We're not exactly sure. The house, I guess, has been gone for a long time. But 10 days after Dawn was born, they moved across this hillside and over onto the other highway, which is off Highway 6. It looks to me to be over hill and dale, maybe 3 or 4 miles to where they moved. And Grandma carried Dawn over there. They didn't have a truck or anything else to go. In fact, I don't know if they had a car at that time or if it was just horses and whatnot that they had. Later on, I think they got a car, but initially it was all horses. They had no running water. They had no electricity. So certainly fire would be how they cooked. They had a fire burning stove.
In the wintertime, I would slide on that when it was iced over. I used to have a lot of fun on that pond.
Well, where was that pond in relation to the house?
Well, the house was right up top of the hill here. It was my grandparents, Dad's folks. There's Jim and Amanda Guy, and there's Lawrence Guy.
In Osborne,
Kansas?
Kansas. Osborne County, Kansas. Something R Guy. R guy.
Yeah.
JR. This is a J right here.
What was your grandfather, great-grandfather?
Jim.
Jim.
There you go.
Precious one from us has gone. Voice we loved is skilled. Place is vacant in our home, which never can be filled. God in his wisdom has recalled the boom his love had given, and though the body in it, the soul is soul in heaven.
Hello. I know him, but I don't know you.
Yeah, I'm his son. So I'm your nephew. And this is Sandra. This is Dawn's daughter, Sandra.
Good to see you. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
You and that mustache.
Oh, yeah? We were walking down and we heard Don cussing you out, cussing like a trooper. So everything under the every cuss word he could think of. And we got home and Dad grabbed Don and kicked his butt real good. Well, the reason he was cussing Don because he was chasing him and whipping his butt with a hitching rake.
So what's the story of this jail?
That's just it. That's just it.
Did they use it when you were a kid?
Occasionally, yeah. Occasionally. It wasn't a long-term lockup, but it
So
was.
someone got rowdy and
So you
cut
ran
somebody
to
up.
jail. Might be in there overnight, or if it was long-term, why the sheriff from Kirksville would haul him over there and put him in jail. Tie the horses up out here,
Yeah.
wagon, and that's
Where's that? Where did you tie him up at?
going out there where the trees are. There's a long rail. Post on rail.
So you tie them up and then you go into town and do your shopping and all that, and then was there water and stuff for the horses there?
No,
then?
no. You just tied him to the rail there.
What did you do with horses when they needed water? I mean, you're 5 miles out of town. The horse is going to need water.
Well, you water them before you left home and give them a drink when they got back home. But you'd do the shopping and leave the stuff that you bought, if there's any amount of stuff at the store. And then when you're ready to go home, you got the horse and wagon, and you went by each store and picked up your purchases. And shortly after I was gone, they put in a butchering facility here where they had they butchered steers and hogs and stuff. This area here was where we used this area for our ball field for the school, high school, and our summer leagues.
Were the mines in 1950s?
I worked here in 50 and 51. I left here in 52.
Was the mine shaft pretty deep? Because I'm kind of curious myself.
I believe that mine shaft out there was like 110 feet. Down like this,
most
and
of
then it
them
went
say.
out under the...
And that is the tornado warning sign that they test the fourth Friday of the month.
Does it rotate? Is that what's going on? That's why I see.
Started as a Danforth school.
Okay.
With three grades there, and then finished grade school at Ballnobs,
Okay,
and then of course high school at
high
Novinger.
school at Novinger. What was your parents' name?
Milton.
Okay, so they did have a little, they've just taken this from something, but you're actually listed here.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah.
Alice Marie? Oh,
So,
yeah.
and then this is a new book about the rural schools. They've been having a rural schools reunion, having the old teachers, so Bald Knob's in here, and who did you go to school with? Some of the
With
kids?
some of the Hammonds, there's
Uh-huh.
Alvy Hammond's kids,
Uh-huh,
Donald Swisher,
okay.
and
He's still alive.
is he?
Uh-huh.
Laura Swisher.
Here's Bald Knob about 1945. Are you in this picture?
Oh, I'd be there. Probably
Oh.
see.
Donald guy.
This is Don right here.
This is Don Guy's daughter right here.
Oh, great. You moved was the reason, or you already went to high school? You went to high school.
I went to high school.
By then.
Right,
Okay.
right.
This book, we definitely want to, you told me about there were 2 books out
These
there.
are the 2 that are for sale, so you might want to look at those.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely,
Yeah.
we want to buy those and take those.
And then I will
But this is
make some
awesome,
calls.
seeing Don's. Was this just his name or was his picture?
Oh, his picture's in this.
Hey, Louis,
Yeah,
what's up?
that's great.
So did you work in the mine?
I worked one winter in the mine.
Which one?
Bios.
Bio down south?
No,
Billy Creek?
yes,
Billy Creek?
yes.
Did you know Billy Creek was the last deep shaft mine in the state of Missouri?
No, I
It
didn't.
closed in 1966.
I didn't know they were the last one.
Yep.
Yeah, I worked there 1 year before I went into service.
Uh-huh.
When I decided I wanted to work in the mine with my dad.
Uh-huh.
So I buddied with my dad there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we have a picture
Yeah.
of Dad and I in loading coal.
Okay, great.
So just before Christmas, the old 22, well, Gene has it. He got 2 or 3 22 rifles in, and he saved one for Dad, and that was my Christmas present.
That was your Christmas present. What year was that?
Oh my God, I think I was 11 years old, 11, 12 years old.
And you bought it at the hardware store
Right there.
from. And who's the gentleman?
Tubby McEwen, the guy on the right up here, leaning on the refrigerator. This was the old saloon I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But that was back before my time. I was taking. I tell you what, I can remember, you were a young man though, but Saturday night, weekends, this was a real going place when all the mines were operating, and everyone, I guess people had a little more money or something then. Come to town on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Kids would go to a movie and usually go to the candy kitchen and have dinner.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you used to tell me about coming into town and getting a nickel or something and getting to buy a whole bunch of candy with the nickel.
We had to get a dime for the candy, and it was a big bag.
Do you know, did most of the coal stay local here, or did it go?
It got shipped out. But a lot of people heated with coal. I mean,
Sure.
here it was almost all coal heat, the way I
I
understand it.
remember,
And
yeah, it
when-
was. I remember, in the wintertime, we get a snow, it'd be just snow white. And it was 24 hours later, it was gray from
the smoke.
The coal smoke.
Really?
Yeah.
They used to say that about people hanging things on the line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can imagine your white clothes. You probably didn't leave them out there very long. As soon as they got dry, you brought them in, huh?
Oops.
If you want it to fit anymore, Dad.
You don't want it to fit anymore. Now, how would the light go on?
Carbide. This you feel, this is powdered now, but this carbide comes in little grains, about the size of a pea.
Uh-huh.
You fill this with that, and then you put water in the up here, and you regulate the size of the flame you want by the amount of water that you allow us to drip into it. And it drips through this little deal right here.
Uh-huh.
The more light you turn this up, and more water will drip into this.
And it would just be a little flame?
Just a flame.
of that.
And this was a flint, of course, and to light it, open this up and put a little moisture, we usually just spit in it. Put a little moisture in there to start the little gas going, and then just. Well, this would be like a place in the mine where, what we called the place, the roadway ran down the center. The first thing you did every morning when you went in, and they would shoot it the night before, would be you'd clean up a distance of about 3 or 4 feet and lay new tracks so you get the car back in there. And then the break the coal would be all the way back. And you'd break it up and shovel it out and load the cars.
And is this how they did it, Dad, the shoring? It was just
That's-
logs like this? It wasn't,
That's it.
it wasn't manufactured wood or cut wood, it was just.
No. And most of them, most of them were split.
Uh-huh.
And the first thing you did in the morning, when you cleaned it up, was then you set a row of props, we call them, as close to you, as close to the front as you could,
Uh-huh.
to protect you. And then you use 2 people to a place.
Uh-huh.
Like I've always worked the left side of the place. I would start in this corner, Dad would start in the other corner. We started loading it out, getting into the car.
So then, once you clean that out, the next day you'd go back further? You just keep going
The
back?
next day, after it's cleaned out like that, it looked just slick like that.
Mm-hmm.
They would have a cutter, and that's probably what that is. It would cut under that strip up there. It's about 1 inch to 2 inches wide.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a layer of clay. And then one above is coal with the light streaks in it would be clay that had to come out.
Now, would you and Grandpa work the same side or a different side?
Different side.
Different side.
I always worked the left side because I shoveled right hand. Dad always worked that side because he could shovel the other way. And we'd start in the corner and work toward each other. At the end of the day, we'd meet center of the place. And these cars, they usually held 2,000 pounds, 2,200, something like that. About a ton. And they tried to have the places big enough that we would get 20 ton a day out of there. So each person would.
Was it well-paying or no?
Well, it was the best paying job that you could have in the area. I worked in the mine with Dad starting in the fall of '51. Worked through the winter in the coal mines, enlisted in the Navy, I think it was May, and went in the service for a 4-year stint. Dad came to Oregon 3 years after I had gone into the service.
Now, when you say Dad, was that the whole family or?
No, just Dad
okay.
alone. He came out to visit me, and while he was out there, he stopped at the warehouse's office, and they put him to work as a choker setter in the woods. So he worked the balance of that year, that summer, then came back to Missouri and worked the winter in the mines, and then moved himself and the family back to Oregon the following spring and continued to work in the woods.
And the area they settled down in was?
Colton, Oregon, which was about 40, 50 miles outside of Portland. They would be, I would say they'd be maybe 10, 15 feet apart. And then every so many feet, they would what we call a crosscut. There'd be an opening between the two. So that would be for air circulation. So we could get oxygen in there. And it got pretty bad at times to get oxygen in, because if you got too far ahead of those openings that we call crosscuts, carbide lights, which burned to blaze, they required oxygen. And sometimes those blazes would just get real short and kind of red. You could have a hard time seeing. Really a tough way to make a living, and I think probably a pretty unhealthy way. But it was the best paying job in the area. And so people that were able to do it physically and could get a job in a mine worked in the mines for that reason.
What was that for?
Well, this was the water down there, and our lunch was in here.
And your lunch would consist of what? What would the
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches?
Most of us had a little hole drilled right in here, about the size of a matchstick. And the purpose of that hole was, if you notice when I had the carbide light, the little cap on top, where you put water in, you could tip the bucket up and
put it in the water. Oh, wow.
Water into the light.
So this is Billy Creek Trail, and then it turns and goes this way. Yeah. So this one right here.
This is Colin Snyder.
This was our baseball diamond.
Right here?
This one here, these trees weren't here.
Wow. Yeah, that was your ball field. So all this was brought in. Is that an old ore cart then, Dan?
Yeah, an old,
coal cart.
Coal.
Yeah.
That's what we go into.
Yeah, these buildings.
So that's a cart like that is what you, when you were working down the mine, you'd have to load
That's what
coal
we
into
did.
that cart?
Yes.
This museum is only open every other Sunday.
There's a big chunk of coal right there, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And I had like someone had a reservoir that held 2 or 3 or 4 gallons of water, and it was always warm water.
Right.
And then it had a back on it with warming, little closets up here, warming closets.
So you could cook and then you put it up there to keep stuff warm.
As far as the top, the oven, I was 17 when we got electricity. So up until then, that's what I'm cooked on. Yeah. Mine's spelled with 2 L's, but then most people spell it just that way.
Now, what is this? What does this signify?
This, Charles Gasperi was a bookkeeper for 14 different mines, and he provided this list of names, and this is the different mines that he took the records from.
Yes.
And then he combined all the names for a list.
I do know this would be the air shaft. And I do know I worked for about a week with my uncle opening this air shaft.
Who was your uncle?
Leland guy.
Leland guy.
And then Dad and
Yeah.
I want to say we probably worked his entry here. I know it would have been on this side. Hi there, stranger.
How are you, Daddy? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are
I got you.
you?
Look good.
You're still standing up.
Yeah, come on in the house. I was looking out the window. Girls was doing my dishes too, and a couple of my girls was up visiting me. And they said, Dad, you got something swimming down there in your pond. I looked out and there's a big old otter with a catfish that long eating his tail off.
Wow. Oh, man.
So I come in the house, got my gun and things, but we made too much noise talking, I guess, and he wasn't there. So the next morning, about 5 or 4:30, I got up. I wanted to be down there before daylight, and I got a mulberry tree, and I hid behind the mulberry tree, and I couldn't see the water, but I thought if I could see him. I saw waves coming out along the bank, so I knew it was him. And he got about here to the door from me and raised up and was smelling.
That's all it took.
And that's the last time he smelled.
Do you trap anymore at all?
I trapped this winter.
Yeah.
Had my fur in my fur house down that little shed down there is where I do my fur.
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of coons and stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
My neighbor boy come over and wanted to scrape some coons, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And I told him one time he could use my fur house if he wanted to. So when he left, he took my fur all with him.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're
Oh, is
kidding
that
me.
right?
Yeah. One time I was walking to school. We lived right over here when I was in high school. And I walked to school, Novinger School.
Uh-huh.
And I had traps on the way to school. And we had a big old cottonwood that fell across the creek, and we used it for a foot log. And it washed out one time. The creek got up high enough that it washed it around along the bank. And I had a trap down at that end of the top, and up at the other end of the stump was just right for the stuff. It'd have to go in the water to go around it. And I had 2 that morning.
I'll be darned.
I didn't go to school. How old are you, Lloyd?
I'm 83.
80. Oh, you're in the 80s.
I'll be 84 2nd of October. Anyway, so I'd go up by in the fall of the year. We were walking home school. I'd go up by their place instead of staying
Cut
on.
through the hills. It's
Yeah.
closer too.
And so he had watermelons, and he had a big pile of watermelons out there, and he'd just delight in that. And he said, "You want to take a watermelon home? Sure. Which one? Take whatever you want." Well, naturally, I'd take the biggest one I could find.
That you could pack.
You know, and I'd go staggering off with it. And he'd sit over and slap his legs and laugh here with this great big watermelon. I
Boy, I raised a
couldn't
lot
carry
of
it home.
watermelons.
But I'd carry it up to the top of the hill where I could see the house, and Grandpa lived with us then. And then I'd get up there and I'd stand up and yell till Grandpa would hear me, and he'd come over there. And you just sat there on top of the hill, and Grandpa would take his pocket knife.
If this is the location, and like I say, it's been 36 years since I've been here, you see these trees, I don't remember them being right here, and honestly, for some reason, I don't remember, it seemed like there should have been trees out there, but I can see all this has fallen in. But they probably would, their spring would have been down here, off to the right, and there's like an old bed frame or something over that hill there too. So Sandra found this old electrical box, and it has the old style electrical tape in it, and looks like aluminum wire, and all of this definitely looks like there's something. This looks like a chimney or something here. It could have been siding on a house, I suppose, right? Does it look like it's? Yeah, look, it's grooved, so it looks like it's siding.
And
So
that might have been collapsed on.
could very well have been a wall. Came straight down to this plow and looked back up at the ridge. The house would be about 30 yards up the hill there. But this is definitely an old plow. Here's the wheels, or I say a plow.
Or a blade.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a plow or what this is. It's in this whole pile of brambles and brush.
It's got like a handle right here.
But there's a handle. Let me see that. That's awesome. Here's a handle.
Yeah, look at that gear. It's like
gear.
it's like a brake.
Yeah, it's something.
Straight down, I think that shaft was 105 or 110 foot deep,
And then
straight down. And then it went back.
then you go straight back, and then
Yeah.
you'd angle up.
Well, however the vein went. And
from the
usually,
vein.
if you went back, if you went toward a hill, it would usually come up a little bit.
Kind of rise with the hill.
Yeah,
huh?
right.
And how do you go down in the mine? Like a ladder?
No, like an elevator.
I love it. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a horse-drawn winch affair, or was it a
Steam engine.
steam engine? So everything was on that same elevator. The men, the coal, the equipment,
everything.
the horses, the mules.
Yep.
How did you have to have? Would you drive it, or could you drive it, or your dad would drive it?
Oh, any of us could drive it.
How many horses? One or two?
Two.
Two.
A team.
Team.
So you used the same horses that you plowed with? And
Yes.
Did all that?
Yes.
So what'd you say they were, Percherons, or?
Oh, they were, we call them a draft horse. They were heavy.
Yeah.
Just heavy horses. They were a mixed breed.
And that was basically your transportation back then on the horses.
That was it. And we got our first car. Matter of fact, I bought our first car when I was 16. I went to work in the shoe factory here at Kirksville. Earned enough to buy an old 39 Ford. Saturday was our go to town day. It was our shopping day. Our eggs and cream that we collected over the week for sale, we took in to sell, and all those items, and we'd all load in the wagon and go to Novinger. We get in a fight over. Louise would work Dawn over, because she's a pretty sturdy gal. And one of his ways of getting even with her is he'd catch her when she was carrying water, and she'd get just about to the house. And with her water, she'd set it down to rest. And he'd throw dirt or manure or something in her water. She'd have to dump it and go back to the
Oh, that must have made her mad.
Man.
Of course, when he did it, he lit running.
Yeah.